I just finished watching Netflix original series Ratched, so I'm going to give you my thoughts and review on that and tell you why it needs to be your next binge-worthy Netflix series. Thanks for clicking on this video. I'm Kevin, and before I get this review started, I need you to punch your movie ticket by smacking that like button down below. And if you want to keep up on other movie content, hit that subscribe button. Looks kind of like that. Now, the first thing I want to say about Ratched is it definitely gives off a vibe much like the American Horror Story series. If you've seen that series, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a thriller with a lot of twists and turns and different angles from different characters. There's backstabbing, there's double crossing, there's all kind of stuff going on. Obviously, lots of killing involved. And it's just one of those films that it has the same vibe, mainly because it has the same character. Sarah Paulson stars in Ratched, plays Mildred Ratched, and she's also the star of American Horror Story. So it not only has the same actors and actresses, but it's also filmed in much the same way. So it starts out in 1947, and you'll see this guy goes into a church and kills a bunch of priests. Now, as he gets to the last priest, he says he's doing all of this because of a wrongdoing done to his mother. Now, we will find out later in the series what that is. Meanwhile, Mildred Ratched, played by, again, Sarah Paulson, is going into this psychiatric hospital to apply for a nursing job. But this nursing job isn't actually open. She's trying to get into this hospital for her own agenda. She's looking for a Dr. Hanover for this nursing position. Meanwhile, the head nurse of the hospital finds something a little suspicious because she knows that there's no job opening. But Mildred Ratched waits it out and eventually does get her interview with the doctor. Now, after all that's said and done, she goes back to her hotel where there is a lot of journalists and photographers at that hotel, since it is the only hotel in town, trying to get photographs of this guy who just went and killed all these priests. For what reason, we don't know. So we have two different stories we're trying to follow. Now, Dr. Hanover, who runs this psychiatric hospital, needs funding to keep the hospital alive. So he's going to the governor for state funding. Well, it just so happens the governor is trying to get reelected. Now, it is 1947, so the death penalty is still very much active back then. And in order to get reelected, people want to see action. And the governor is more than willing to comply. People want to see this guy who just killed all these priests on death row. Now, this guy happens to be a patient at the psychiatric hospital. So in order to get the funding that the doctor wants, the governor wants to see him up on trial for murder and get the death penalty. But in order to do that, the doctor has to write off that he is fit for trial. So it's kind of one of those, you rub my back, I rub yours. Whether the guy's crazy or not, you say that he can stand trial for murder, I'll put him on death row, get him executed, I get reelected, you get your funding. But there's more to this story. Mildred Ratched is actually in that hospital trying to get to that same murderer. We don't know why just yet, but trust me, the truth to that will be brought to light really soon. Now, the governor's assistant, Gwendolyn, played by Cynthia Nixon, is kind of the voice of reason. She's trying to run the campaign, get him reelected, but she doesn't like all the red tape behind the scenes kind of stuff of the politics. She has her own secrets of her own, so she needs to keep them under wraps while working for the governor, who she knows wouldn't approve of what she's hiding. Now, one of these so-called journalists that are trying to get photographs and articles of the murder of these priests isn't actually a journalist at all. He's actually a hired investigator for a rich woman played by Sharon Stone, who is trying to get the location of this doctor for something he did to her son. Once he is located, she then convinces him to be hired as a hitman to take the doctor out. But Mildred Ratched is not going to let this happen because we then find out she has a relation to the murderer. I'm not going to tell you what that is because I'm going to let you watch the show to find out. But this is only one of those plot twists that you're going to find in this entire series. Almost every episode, you're going to find a little twist and turn that you were not expecting that add to the suspense and the mystery. Now, one of those mysteries, I will throw a spoiler out there just in case you want to pause the video or fast forward a couple seconds. Spoiler alert, Gwendolyn, aka the governor's assistant, happens to turn out to be gay. And she takes a liking to Mildred Ratched, who obviously is not, and turns down her advances. But this opens up a whole new world. This is 1947. Being gay, whether you're male or female, is 100% not accepted in these times. This is one of the treatments in the psychiatric hospital for those who think they are gay. They go through this treatment in which to wipe out these nasty thoughts. But some of these treatments are, let's say, far from humane. They're a little bit torturous and definitely not accepted by some of the staff. So there's a lot of different characters keeping a lot of different secrets, much of which get exposed, resulting in a lot of blackmail and a lot of murder. Now, one of those secrets is the relationship between Mildred Ratched and the prisoner who killed all these other priests, Edmund Tullison. Now, I know earlier I said I wasn't going to disclose this, but I think I'm going to let you know anyway. One of those secrets in this series is between Mildred Ratched and that murderer earlier on, Edmund Tullison, who happened to be foster brother and sister. Now, they have a long history on foster parents and housing and things that they went through as children and why they are so close now, but that bond can be easily broken by betrayal. So Mildred Ratched has a plan to get Edmund Tullison out of the prison, get him away from the governor who wants to execute him. But the problem is her foster brother doesn't seem to be too thrilled with her help. Now, of course, that is due to some things that happened to them during childhood. Now, Mildred Ratched works her way up the chain due to blackmail, of course, becoming head nurse, and decides they're going to have a dance at the hospital that will involve both the patients and the staff, thinking that could be a therapeutic thing for all the patients and their well-being. That was kind of her way of getting her brother out. Now, the problem is, her brother happened to fall for one of the other nurses, and they had their own plan to escape. Now, this obviously threw a monkey wrench in Mildred's plans, and then things just kind of went downhill from there. Now, again, it's very much similar to the American Horror Story series. If you like thrillers and plot twists and murder mysteries and things like that, you're going to love trying to follow this and figure things out. It definitely had me wondering the entire time what could be, who is this person, what is their agenda, what's going on, and it definitely captivated me from beginning to end. And if you're one that looks for a binge-worthy series, this is definitely it. So what I need you to do is smack that like button down below, leave your comments down below if you've seen Ratched or if you plan on seeing Ratched in the future. If you want to keep up on more movie content, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you at the concession stands.